I'm gonna be straight with you. The Marantz CD 50N is the most versatile music hub you can put on a bookshelf, but let me explain why. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and I'll walk through what makes this little black box worth considering for anyone who already has a decent sound system and wants to get more out of it. First off, the CD 50N does more than just play your old CD collection. It's a full-blown network player that can stream high-resolution files from your laptop, NAS, or any cloud service you're subscribed to, and it does it with a sound quality that rivals dedicated streamers. That means you can finally dust off those FLAC files you've been hoarding and hear the nuances that get lost on a typical Bluetooth speaker. If you've ever tried to fit a new streaming system into an existing setup, you know the headache of dealing with mismatched outputs. The CD 50N solves that by offering both fixed and variable line-level outputs, so you can hook it straight into a preamp for a clean signal, or drop it into a power amp if you're chasing a little more punch. I've got a modest 2-channel receiver in the living room, and connecting the CD 50N via the variable output let me crank the volume without any hiss or overload, even during those dynamic orchestral crescendos. It's the kind of flexibility that lets you upgrade a component piece by piece rather than having to redo the whole chain. Another practical benefit is the built-in HEOS platform. HEOS isn't just a marketing term, it's a fairly robust multi-room system that talks to your phone, tablet, or even the TV remote. With AirPlay 2 and Spotify Connect baked in, you can queue up a favorite playlist from your iPhone and have the music flow through the CD 50N without touching any buttons. I use it a lot when I'm cooking. Just ask my phone to play the jazz station, and the CD 50N starts streaming the tracks straight to the speakers in the kitchen. No extra cables, no fiddling with Bluetooth pairing each time. One of the biggest complaints people have about network players is latency, especially when you're trying to sync audio with video. The CD 50N includes an HDMI ARC port, which lets you route the audio from your TV straight through Marantz's processing chain. I've tested it with the latest streaming services that deliver HDR video and Dolby Atmos, and the sound from the TV's movie tracks was noticeably richer and more detailed than when I just let the TV's built-in speakers handle it. If you watch a lot of Netflix or Disney Plus with a soundbar, plugging the CD 50N into the TV via ARC can give you that extra depth without needing a separate AV receiver. For audiophiles who love to fine-tune their playback, Marantz's proprietary digital filtering and HDAM, hybrid digital amplifier module, are worth mentioning. The filtering softens the harshness that sometimes shows up in digital recordings, and the HDAM adds a subtle warmth that makes even heavily compressed tracks feel more natural. I tried it with a high-energy pop album that normally sounds a bit brittle on cheap DACs, and the CD 50N rendered the vocals smoother while still keeping the punch in the drums. It's a practical perk for anyone who wants to enjoy music the way the artist intended, without needing a separate analog processor. Because it's a network device, the CD 50N also supports multiple streaming services directly, like Tidal and Deezer, which means you don't have to keep switching apps on your phone. I set up a dedicated living room music profile, and the unit pulls from my Tidal hi-fi library automatically. The device's user interface is simple enough that you can navigate through album art using the front panel dial, which is great if you're hosting a dinner party and want to change tracks without pulling out a phone. Now, let's talk about the downsides. The first thing I noticed is the remote control. It's functional but feels a bit cheap compared to the premium look of the unit itself. I've found myself reaching for the front panel knob more often than using the remote, which isn't a deal-breaker but is something to keep in mind if you love a polished remote. Secondly, the unit doesn't have an SD card slot, so if you still keep a collection of music on that format, you'll need an extra card reader or transfer everything to a USB drive. It's a small inconvenience, but worth mentioning if you rely on older media. All things considered, the pros are clear. You get a high-resolution network player that can also handle your CD collection. The built-in HEOS streaming ecosystem makes multi-room playback a breeze, and the flexible outputs mean you can integrate it with a variety of existing audio gear. The cons are relatively minor, a less-than-premium remote and the lack of direct SD card support, so they don't outweigh the overall value. If this sounds like the kind of upgrade you've been waiting for, give the Marantz CD50N a look. The link is below if you decide to pick it up, and hopefully it fits nicely into your next listening setup. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next video.